Hi, I'm doing Paul McWhorter's Pico W lessons, and this is my second video for lesson number 113, when Paul wanted us to take the HSV colour wheel and obtain the red, green and blue values from the angles 0 to 359 and display these lines on a pyqtgraph, then send the values to a Pico W and use those values to light an LED. Now, I've already done this lesson, but I was using a static graph and a slider to do the pyqt bit, and this time it's going to be a scrolling graph. And at the end after the demonstration of it, there's a quick explanation of why everything went horribly wrong when I was trying to do my LoRa version of lesson 109, and I'll explain what I did wrong because it might help people out because they could make the same mistake. So I'll get on with this lesson first of all. Right, I'm using the same server as usual for this one, and I'm using Pico 0 because it makes dealing with an RGB LED so much easier. So you just set it up like that, and then when you want to set the colour, I've just got coming in from the client, I've got just the red, the green and the blue values, and it does it magically, which is quite good. Right, main program. I'll unhighlight that. Main program. I'm just importing what I need. Won't bother to look at update plot to begin with. Right, this function here I wrote ages ago for another lesson, and all it does is it takes a value which is the degree on the HSV wheel, or it is the hue, and it returns red, green and blue. So what I'm doing is down here, I'm setting up 4 lists, one for the X values, which is the degrees, and then another list each for the values of red, green and blue, and I'm looping through from 0 to 359. I'm using the function up above to get the red, green and blue values. I'm appending it to the right list, and then I'm just appending X, which is the degree, to the X vals list. So that means I've just got a list of the degrees and a list of the 3 colours. Update time I'm doing every 30 milliseconds, and the increment is 1 for scrolling through the thing. What else do I do? Yeah, green line, I'm just plotting the X values against the green values, and the same for that. Now that line there I've put in because you will see when I run the program I didn't want a scale at the bottom, and that's how you can get rid of it, because as it's scrolling the degrees are scrolling, therefore you don't want it a set thing saying 0 to 360 on the bottom. And the timer, every 30 milliseconds I'm updating the plot. So come up here, not quite up there, come up with update plot. Now that is initially set the G dot. The reason why it's G dot is to avoid global variables, like I said there. So X ST is the start degree. So that's initially 0. And then every time you go into update plot, you add on the increment, and you make sure with that modulus 360, you make sure that the angle doesn't go above 360, in fact 359. And setting the data, I'm using the X values even though I'm not using them to calculate any data on that green line. It's just so that it sets the spacing and everything right on the graph. And then this is where it's quite clever. Well, I think it's quite clever. So I've got the array, the list of all the green values for the angles 0 to 359. But the start position, the start degree, is changing. So what I do is I'm using as the values for the green line, the y values on there, I'm taking from that list, from the, assume that we're on, you want to start at 10 degrees. So you're taking the 10th item and of that list and going right to the end, and then I'm tacking on to the end of it the beginning of the list up to the 10 minus 1th, 9th item. So you don't have to do any recalculating or anything on, you know, you don't have to go in to get RGB again. It just does it all for you. And that's about all it does. So I will run the server, and no, I will stop. I will show the camera. This helps really, doesn't it? I'll run the server and it flashed on to say, yeah, I'm ready. And then we'll run the client. And there you can see doing, 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 red, green, 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 blue, 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 blue. And it's telling you the angle, which is at that point there, the angle, and then it's telling you what the red, green, and blue things. So if we wait until there, green was full on and the others were naught for a tiny moment. And there you can see it's about to be green. Look, it's green. And it's mauve and it's working perfectly. Okay, that's my program. Now this is the setup for my LoRa version of lesson number 108, which was just using 1 pico to turn the LED on and off. In fact, I've got 4 LEDs on and off on the other pico. And so there's my LoRa module on that board, and another one on there. It's got a little antenna. I know they're very close, but it's I had to put them close to show them both in the video. So the beauty of having a LoRa, using LoRa, is that you don't need a Pico W. You can just use an ordinary Pico, and that's what I've got on the front one, and on the back, because it's my setup that I've been using for other things, it is actually a Pico W. So I've got 2 programs. One which is the server. You can just ignore everything. It's just listening to messages and everything, but then it will find out what color you want and then turn it on to that color. And that's running on the back one, and then on the front, the client, again, it's just contacting it, and really it's just saying what color do you want, blah 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 blah. So in order to get this running, I mean, this is where Mac, I'm pretty sure that Mac peeps can have 2 Picos connected simultaneously, while I'm on Windows 11, and in Sony you can't. So what you have to do is you have to put one program on one of them, save it to main, and then disconnect, run it with a battery, and then start running the other one. So this is what I'll do. So I will plug into, if I can, there. That is COM4. Yep, that looks okay. So we take the server and we save it onto the Pico as main.py. Yes, I do. Right, now that's done, I'll unplug this one and plug that in, and I have to press stop, and because this is COM7. So in order to get this running, I will turn that off, turn that on, and that ought to flash to say, yep, it's flashed, therefore it's all up and running, waiting for something. So we will go into the client, which is running on the front one. Right, that wasn't quite ready. Yeah, enter required color. So I will go red. There, it turns red on. Oh, but there's something wrong. It's turning the red on, but it's giving me a strange message. So if I try blue, yeah, so stop that. Unplug this one. Plug it in. Look at the program that I'm running on it. Like that. Right. That's where the error was. So you change it and it ought to be working wonderfully. So you just save the program. To COM4. Save the program. Okie dokie. You unplug it again. Plug it back into 7. Go stop. Go on to 7. There. And we're running the client. So I will turn it off. The server, turn it on. It flashes. Wonderful. So then I will run the client. And again, it's because I've been messing around with the code. It needs a bit of time. My code is not good at the moment, so I'll go red. Red is on, and look, you can see red is on, and then you can go red again. Red is off. Blue is on. Yellow, yep, that's okay, and then I can go off. Sometimes it doesn't work because my program isn't quite right. Off, yeah, now they're off, and I think, hurrah, that's working wonderfully. Well, it wasn't, but you know, we'll pretend it was working wonderfully. So what I can do is I'll stop that program and then turn all the computer off. Wonderful. And then the next day I'm doing my video to display it, and I've put something else on main.py there, so for my demonstration, and then I'm going to demonstrate LoRa after that. So there's my, I'll get the two programs in. There's the client, and then I will get the jolly old server, and I will unplug that. I will plug that in. It wants to be COM4. Right, I will save it as main.py. Okay, overwrite. This is very tedious. Now I will unplug that, go back into that, go into 7, turn that off, turn that on again. It flashes to say it's ready. I'll go into the client, I will run it. And I still haven't corrected that error. Run it again. Right, enter required color. Red. No, you have to type it in the shell, you stupid woman. Red. Bit of a bad connection. Right, but it says error. So it's reverted to the previous program, and I was scratching my head thinking, what on earth have I done? And I'll show you what I've done. When I saved it to the server, to main.py, I just found the error, I corrected my mistake, and I just pressed save. And of course, what I should have done, as opposed to that, I should have gone in and got the recent file, got the server, closed that main.py, then changed that program, the proper program, and saved it, and then saved it as main.py. And that can catch you out all the time, that you just make a little, you save its main.py, you make a little amendment to it, you just press save, and the original program hasn't been mended. Now, does that make any sense? Well, I've shown you that I can use LoRa, so that is